morning. You're watching TSPN Amador Live.
We're taking care of big business here. So
We are.
I'm Richard Forster.
And I'm Sue Ann Burke.
How's Sue Ann?
Good. How are you?
Good. And you had a dream about me, right?
Oh, gosh. Busted.
But
Yes, I did.
Your husband wasn't worried because I was
No.
laying on the ground and I was bludgeoned. So.
Right. I told him all about it. So
Okay.
it was kind of funny. I think the reason I had the dream is because I've been away. And, I was coming back. I haven't done TSP in like a month
You
now.
were thinking about your
and
schedule.
I was thinking about my schedule, and you're part of my schedule on Wednesday mornings. So, raining outside.
It is. We
Yes.
need the rain, too.
And don't forget to turn your clocks forward. This Saturday.
Bring
It's
forward.
here already.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my cuckoo clock in the living room that we never changed last year. So it's obviously an hour off now. So I don't even have to worry about changing that one. It's all
That's
ready
kind
to
of
go.
procrastinating.
And it throws me off because you can hear it cuckoo. So mostly on the weekends when you're kind of half awake, half asleep, and laying there, cuckoo, cuckoo. Well, I
Yeah.
think it's a different time than it really is. So
That's procrastinating. Our priest said on...
it's really high. Don't want to get the ladder out and climb up there.
Yeah,
And
our priest said Sunday morning that I'm going to talk to you about procrastination. I was going to do it 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
That was his joke. So
Very good. Well, let's introduce our guest
that's
today.
right. We have Russ Brown here today. Hi, Russ.
Hi, how you doing?
Nice to meet you. I haven't met you yet.
And
I know you.
I'm
talked
too
with
far
him
away.
last
I
week.
interviewed Russ last week, I think.
Yes, you did.
RNA Retirement Incorporated.
Right.
Located right here in Jackson. If I remember right, it's right across from Dieter Park.
Yeah, and the Jackson Zoo.
Next
Poor
to-
man's bronze.
Did you get that? I thought that was funny. I didn't get it at first.
I got it.
Poor
You
man's-
got it.
Must be a guy thing.
Yeah. So last week we got into just a very basic overview of retirement planning.
Right.
And incidentally, you do the retirement planning with your wife and with
Yes.
an office full of other people that
Yes.
are experts in the office. And why don't you tell us about briefly again, your background so people know that
Okay.
you are qualified.
Okay. Well, a long time ago, I was a geologist, and my job was explore for gold. And then,
I would have guessed looking at you first that you were a geologist over a retirement planner.
really,
Yeah.
I guess that's a compliment.
But anyway.
And then I got married, and then decided being a geologist and being gone from home like 22, 23 days a month probably wasn't a good marriage plan. So we started our own business, but eventually in 2005, I was headhunted and got into the financial retirement planning business, and soon became like a general manager for a company, and I would set up offices all up and down California, setting up these large offices with about 40 agents in each office, and we would help people plan for the retirement and Medicare and all that. And then my wife basically said, let's do our own thing. You do all the work. You're going to die of a heart attack, because I was flying all over the country and working about 80, 90 hours a week. And
So your marriage still wasn't rock solid.
Yeah, and I was
Being
Yes.
gone all the time.
rock
Yes.
solid. I get that. I was going to say being
Rock solid, yes.
being a geologist wasn't a good investment.
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask, being a geologist, you were headhunted to go into financial planning. Now, how
Right.
did that happen?
I was working, actually, I left, we started our own business, had some successful franchises in the Monterey Bay area. Then we moved up here, we bought some property up here, built a home, and then I worked for Volcano Telephone, and then I helped another guy do a startup business. And I've always been involved in business startups and managing and that sort of thing after I was a geologist. But then I had one of these strange, it wasn't a midlife crisis, but I felt like I wanted to get involved in something where I could help people. And this opportunity came up, and I latched onto it, and it's worked out very well for us, for my wife and I. And
Well, that helps explain it. Then, so.
yes, and then I'm a certified financial planner now, which is and we talked about that last week, but it's a pretty difficult process to get to. It's a 2-year program of studying, taking tests, and you have to take it's a 2-day intensive exam. It's like the bar exam or what CPAs take to become a CPA, and it's about a 50% pass rate. And I passed, and I thought I knew a lot about financial and retirement planning before, but going through this, I learned how tax reduction strategies, estate planning, anything to do with people's money, we we can help them with it.
Okay.
Now, when you say you're a financial planner, do you help people manage their finances only, or do you also help them with like property investments, that type of thing?
Anything to do with money. So like it was funny, last week I had a client come in and her car was broken down, and we went through, and I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but we kind of, not everything, a lot of things boil down to finances, and so we helped her decide she shouldn't get her car fixed, she should get another car, and then we kind of pointed her in the right direction, how much she should pay for a car that she liked, and we did a
Sure.
blue book analysis, and
Oh,
so
interesting.
anything to do with people's money, we help them with.
Okay.
But you pointed out last week, too, that some of these people, I mean, when you're talking to someone like that, it's almost like me talking to my mother and advising her. So you said some of these people become like family members.
All of our clients are like our family members, and it's a great thing. It sometimes is a problem because I'm with a client and then they come in and want to talk and chat or want to take me to lunch or I want to take, it's just,
Go golfing.
yeah, it's a really nice situation, and my wife and I we love our clients, and then we have a great relationship with them, and they become part of our family.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and you were saying that, when people are interested, that you sit down and you interview with them, and that not every client might fit within the portfolio, that, you make sure
Yeah.
that you're able to help them. And
Right. Yeah, what we do is when people first come in and want to talk to us, we interview them. My wife and I sit down, and we want to interview to make sure it's a good fit for them
Right.
with us and for us with them. We want to make sure that we can help them and they want to be
Absolutely.
helped. And then what we want to do is make sure that we're going to get along, and we don't take everyone on as a client.
Yeah.
So,
Let's say you have a person that comes in who has inherited a lot of cash or got a payoff off an insurance policy,
Right.
and they want to know what to do with a large sum of money. You'll help them work through the process of buy property or go into stocks or bonds or...
yeah, as a certified financial planner, we have to follow a 7-step process. So what we do is we interview them, we gather the information, then we talk with them, find out where they are, where they want to be, what their goals and dreams are, whether they want to pass the money on for heirs, because depending on what they want to do with the money is where we're going to put it. And yeah, it's a very interesting process. What I like it because of the geologist in me. It's like putting together a puzzle. Every client's different. We don't use a cookie cutter approach and say, okay, you're going to do 40% bonds, 50% stocks, and 10% cash. Like a lot of advisors do, we customize a plan designed specifically to meet their needs and goals.
Because some people want to be very aggressive, some people are very
Right.
conservative. so-
Right, and sometimes we talk them out of things. We say, you say you want to do this, but let's kind of look at it.
Yeah,
So-
you
Say you want to put all your money into Facebook. You might want to rethink that.
You
Yes.
bring up a really good point, because I know I consider myself a fairly intelligent individual. I know what I'm doing with my money, and I think if something were to happen to my husband where, I was left alone with life insurance and his 401k, I would really need and would want help with what do I do with all this money now? Do I
Right.
pay my house off?
Right.
Do
Yeah.
I invest it? So I hadn't thought about reaching out to a firm like yours to help me through that process. Obviously, I will now, but you brought up a good point with a widow, whether it's a male or a female.
Right.
Seems like, and you're very vulnerable during that time, so you want to make sure, I would think, that you have a professional there to help you
Right.
make those decisions.
And you usually don't want to make any major changes after a spouse dies. Usually, we say, let's kind of sit back, and that's why it's good to have life insurance. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have life insurance and they pass away, and what they don't realize is their Social Security income is going to get cut way back. Usually, the surviving spouse will get the higher of the two amounts, but they don't
Yes.
get both anymore.
That's
and
right.
it's a huge hit for people.
And my mother ran into that when my father
Right.
passed away.
Right.
Yeah, I just retired from the state, and I set the payment amount up to be the same for my wife when
That's smart.
when I pass on.
That's
So,
very smart.
I gave up a little money, but the men usually die first, so we'll see.
That's good planning.
We plan it that way,
Yeah. There's a lot of intricacies to planning and estate planning for for the death of a spouse or the
Right.
death of your parents, because I know when my grandfather passed on, he passed earlier than expected, and they didn't have the estate, enough money in the estate to
Yeah.
cover it. They ended up having to sell property. And my grandmother, I remember her telling me, she spent
Yeah.
a lot of nights at the table with a pencil and a pad trying to figure out
It's sad
how to
because
get through it.
property isn't, people don't think property is an asset, but a lot of times the property, as far as the IRS is concerned, it's counted as cash. And so you have to sell things off to pay the taxes, the estate taxes on that. So.
Right.
Okay, Russ, hold that thought. We do need to take a break. We do have sponsors that we need to acknowledge, but we'll be right back, so stay with us.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
And we're back with Russ Brown from RNA Retirement Incorporated, Retirement Planning. And we have a big situation in the stock market now. Everybody's happy, and not everybody, though, because,
It's better, though.
yeah, some people, though, I mean, this is a historic high. Just hit, 14,000 plus.
It's about 14.3 today.
Yeah, so,
14,003.
and it's going like there's no tomorrow,
Right.
up. But people out there, financial people I'm listening to, say this could be the sixth bubble in our economy and ready to burst, and the stock market could take a huge plunge. So what's your feeling on that?
I agree with what they're saying. I believe, well, the economy right now reminds me a lot of 2007. And in October 2007, happy days were here again. Everything was going great, and people were like throwing all kinds of money in the market, and the bubble burst, and we saw what happened. I believe the same thing could happen. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but the fundamentals in our economy aren't very strong at all. I mean, our debt, the consumer confidence index, all this stuff's a lot worse than it was in 2007.
I don't see a lot of changes in the corporate structure from the way it was back then. I mean, they're acting like business as usual again. There were big complaints about them sponsoring golf tournaments and things like
Right.
that, and they're back sponsoring the golf tournaments. And
Oh, yeah.
there doesn't appear to be a lot of change, but the bigger thing is the home mortgage market. It just seems like it's almost back like where it was.
Well, the interesting thing, and I won't get into that whole thing, why the whole mortgage crisis happened, but it could have been stopped, and a lot of people knew what we could have done, but they weren't allowed to do it because it wasn't fair. Everyone should be able to own a home was kind of like, was the policy that the country at
It's
that
like
time.
everyone gets a trophy on the team.
Right, yeah. But I think my real fear is in the bond market right now. The interesting thing about bonds is they have an inverse relationship to interest rates. Right now, interest rates are at an all-time low. So when interest rates move up, which I think they're going to have to, bond values are going to go down. And a lot of people, retired people, depend on bond income to fund their retirement as an income stream. And we steer our clients away from bonds, but I think bonds are going to get hit hard. In 2007, bonds got hit hard, the stocks got hit hard, gold and silver got hit hard. Everything was correlated to the market. It was really weird. That was something that doesn't happen very often.
Well, and speaking of that, gold is at its high right now as well, again, right?
It's still high, but it's down about $200 an ounce from where it was, but it's still fairly high.
Okay, so in 2007, we were talking about this back then, and I remember that because I did lose quite a bit of money when that market crashed. That happened in October. And then I think, if I recall, maybe 10 years later, there was
Right.
another fall, which happened in October. What is it about October?
I don't know. October's
Okay.
a bad month. In 1987, they had the big October crash, and it went down, but it popped right back up again. But
in
I don't know what it is.
2012, is October going to be the month that the bubble burst?
Or
I don't know.
2013.
Or
I don't know.
2013?
There's some interesting things, talk going around, and one of the real fears that I have is if the world decides that the United States should be the default currency or not. And there's a lot of talk, China and Russia and some of these countries are saying, why is the United States a default currency? And if that happens, we're in big trouble.
Give a definition for people, basic laymen out there, about default currency.
That would be what you pay for oil in U.S. dollars. Right now, oil, and that's the big deal. Like if they decide we're not going to make the U.S. dollar the standard for buying oil, because that's kind of like the big commodity, then we're going to start like just bartering it or whatever, different currencies, then our inflation's going to go crazy, in my opinion, because our dollar is way overvalued for as much money as we have out there. But the reason why we don't have a lot of inflation now is because we can't have inflation because it would destroy the world's economy. So there's some
lot
weird things.
laying on our shoulders
Lots
there.
going on right now, and we need to be careful. I think we're on the wrong track, and I think a lot of people feel we're on the wrong track. Even though the stock market's up, it's kind of like a house of cards. Remember, we'd build house of cards when we were young, and all it takes is one little win, and the whole thing falls. And
How can we be on the right track then if you're looking at that big bubble out there?
what, individually? Individually?
Individually.
Individually, what we prefer to tell people to do is have a dynamically managed portfolio or have guaranteed products. Guaranteed products, it doesn't matter what's going to happen to the market. I mean, basically, if you're guaranteed so much return, that works well. But actively managing a portfolio is the way to go, where you can change quickly. You can just, this happens, you can do this. You kind of watch what the big boys are doing, and then you...
I forget what they call the term on that, but there are ways you can build it into your portfolio. But
Yes.
if it hits certain levels, it automatically...
automatically traded. We kind of do that, but we have a program that we use. But then we go after high dividend paying stocks right now, and we think that's the way to go, other than having a lot of bonds in your portfolio. But we're constantly buying and selling, grabbing those dividends when we can, and getting as much return as we can without a lot of risk.
And so when you say have a dynamic portfolio, other than having one that's flexible, like you said, that you can
Right.
move around or buy and sell, does that also mean it's probably wise not to have, just as a quote, all your eggs in one basket? So
Absolutely.
spread that
It's
out,
called
high, medium, and low.
Well, there's diversification, and what's a really important thing is make sure your portfolio doesn't completely follow the market all the time. So it has a low correlation to the market. So when the market goes up, you want to have things that kind of balance things out. So there's ways to make money in a down market. There's ways to make money in a up market, but you want to just make sure you're doing it right. And the way to do that, we try to avoid mutual funds. We like exchange traded funds because they're quicker. You can move in and out of them a lot quicker. There's not a lot of loads or fees involved in them, not a lot of overhead. So that's kind of the approach we think in this type of environment.
Can you give an example of an exchange fund?
An exchange traded fund are called ETFs, and basically they have an exchange traded fund for pretty much anything: gas prices, oil prices, gold. They're called spiders. They have spiders. You see ads like that, but they don't have a lot of high overhead management fees, and they're traded like a stock. And all the dividends that are in that come directly back to the people that hold that, as opposed to mutual funds, which are managed funds, and there's a big management company behind them, and they have to follow a set formula. So if they say the most we're going to have in cash is 15%, that's what they have. With an exchange traded fund, they have a lot more flexibility.
There are some mutual funds, though, that have pretty good track records with not extremely high
Yeah, Vanguard.
overhead.
If I was going to get mutual funds, I'd go with, I really like Vanguard. I think they're a very good management company.
Let's talk about the interest rates. You brought that up. If the interest rates start going up, I hear people in the government saying, well, we're not worried about the debt and all this, but boy, if interest rates start going up, what I heard yesterday on the radio from one financial consultant sounds like it's right on, that this could drive our government into the ground, having to pay those high interest costs.
Absolutely. So the Treasury rates are right around 2%. So on a $16 trillion debt, I believe that's $800 billion they have to pay per year on the debt. So let's say it goes up to 3%. That's going to be $1.2 trillion on that debt. And our debt keeps going up. It's a mess. We need to fix it, and but I'm not in control.
We need to fix
Well, we're
it.
not going to talk politics
Yes.
on this show.
Well, we need to fix it, but either party or any politician will say, well, we're going to balance the budget over 10 years. That
Right.
never works. That's just
It's a plan.
political language.
Well,
Right.
here's the problem, I think. No one wants their entitlement cut. And so it's not very popular. So basically, they keep saying, well, we're just going to keep doing the same thing, and hopefully we can grow the economy, but we're not in an environment right now where we can grow the economy. We need to make it so businesses can start to grow, and once that happens, we can maybe grow ourselves out of this problem, but the way things are going now, we can't.
Right. I had a businessman I knew one time who was very successful, and he said he was expanding all the time, and he said, I love debt. Well, he ended up finally bankrupt because when everything turned, he landed on the bottom.
He had no place to go.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
He landed on, except for down. So
Right.
Yeah, so.
really
Well,
something.
once he's down, there's only one place to go
That's
from
right.
there, and that's
That's
up.
right.
So
That's a good
look out
news.
the positive
Yes.
side.
You're bringing up a lot of investment techniques that, I mean, they're new to me, the spiders and all that. I've always been, the education I had was just looking at mutual funds,
Right.
not looking at the other
Right.
type of investments. So it's a good learning experience, and if people wanted to come in and talk to you, it would sure give them a new avenue and new thinking process about investing.
Yeah, it's having a dynamically managed portfolio. I think in the type of market we're in, a very volatile, and I think it's a secular bear market, and these things last for years. I mean, the shortest secular bear market has been 17 years in history, and I think we're still in the middle of one, even though everyone says it's a little bull market right now, and it is. You have many bull markets, but overall, I think we have at least 4 or 5 years to go in this market. So you need to actively manage your portfolio, just constantly moving things and making sure you take advantage of the opportunity as it presents itself, as opposed to the buy and hold strategy. And buy and hold is called strategic asset allocation, and it's where you buy a set portfolio, you keep it for 15, 20, 30 years, and hopefully you're going to make a profit. And in the 80s and 90s, it worked great because, 15% a year was pretty much standard, but in the market we're in now, being very volatile and everything, it's very tough.
Yeah, what would you consider a fair or fairly good percentage turnaround?
Oh, like a return?
Yeah, return on investment.
We
Let's
try to get
see
our
how I
clients
did
about
compared to what I
8%.
did.
We shoot for about
Okay,
8%
that
a
makes
year.
me
That's
feel
net
good.
of fees. That's after all the fees are taken out of the
Okay.
trading. Or
Fees,
anything.
but not taxes, though, right?
Yeah, not taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if taxes are an issue, then they need to get in municipal bond funds and that sort of
So
thing.
if someone's not at least 8, then they need to come see you because they've.
Well, yeah, we try to get that, but it's that's our goal. And
Yeah,
we
sure.
usually achieve that.
Sure.
So.
Okay, very good.
You always got to pay the government, though.
That's right.
Always need to pay the government.
Right.
That's right. Well, we do need to take a break, so we're going to once again acknowledge our sponsors, but we'll be back. So stay with us.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
Okay, we're back, and we're here with Russ Brown, and we're talking about investments, finances, stocks, and
and
retirement.
everything.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about retirement options, because I was saying earlier that my husband and I are at that point where probably within the next 5 to 7 years, we're going to be retiring. We each have 401k, we have some savings, we have some stocks and bonds, and it's kind of all over the place. So what could you do for us?
Well, I think the first thing to do that people need to do when they're getting into that age of retirement is they first need to determine what's going to be the best option for claiming Social Security, because there's some great tools you can use to maximize how much Social Security you're going to get. So you can, there's like 13 different strategies, and we have a program that I have on my iPad. It's a great little program, but I plug the numbers in, and it says, well, if you, if when you turn 62, you should maybe start getting Social Security, but your husband should maybe wait till 66 and 2 months, and show you, like if you live to be 80, how much more money that's going to be. We've done numbers with people where they're going to make $200,000 more in their lifetime by just tweaking that a little bit.
Right, because I know when we've each talked about when we retire, we're not going to quote unquote quit working. We're leaving our corporate jobs. We're
Right.
going to find something part-time,
that's smart.
to keep us busy.
Right. Or
you're
And so
gonna
we'll
keep-
still have an income.
Or you're going to keep your other full-time job.
That'd be Dave.
That'd be me, too. Yeah, because I quit my 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
Retired, but I
Kept your other 40-hour-a-week
I actually called
job.
it my part-time job because
Yeah.
it was only 40 hours a week.
That's right. So we'll still have income. So we probably should think about not necessarily just starting to collect that Social Security right away.
Well, that's why you need to have an analysis done. I had one couple who came in, and we met them, and we did a workshop, and they came in, and they just were so intrigued about the Social Security claiming strategies, and they were going to jump in the water as quick as they could, and then after I showed them that it's going to be a difference of about $170,000, and then it also makes a big difference when one of the spouses passes away, because you get the greater of the amount.
Right.
And it changed their life. I mean, it was really cool. They were pretty excited about that. The other thing to realize is that 401ks, 403bs, those types of retirement plans are designed to replace a pension plan. And so what you need to do is understand, do I want to have this 401k become an income stream, or do I want it to just keep growing? So that determines how you invest that money. So income stream investing is a little bit different than asset accumulation investing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Social Security planning. If a couple, married couple, has both of them have retired already, they've already chosen their strategies. If they're wrong, can they be changed?
No, they cannot.
They cannot be changed.
You
Wow.
make that choice and you're done.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
good information. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
unfortunate, though, because
Yeah.
you really could help
You
a lot
can't
of
give the money
people.
back and say,
No,
let's
I
start
know.
over.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, if you want to help people through their retirement years,
Right.
then I would think government at any level
Right.
would want to support the ability for them to change their
Right.
options. But why is that
Interesting.
stuck? It's just the way the rule is?
They want to save money. Yeah, it's once you make that choice, that's why you got to be real careful. You have to do a complete analysis. And so it's really important to kind of look at quarterly, and I'm not sure if they're still doing it. I think they're phasing that out, but quarterly you get a statement from the SSA, Social Security Administration, that says, okay, if you retire here at this time, this is how much you're going to get approximately. And those are good to look at, or you can go online to ssa.gov,
Yeah.
and you can kind of look and see. And for business owners, it's really important to maybe, like, if you have a husband and wife team like my wife and I do, right now we're paying my wife more so we can get her Social Security
Yeah.
up, because we already have our strategy planned out, but we need to get her income up.
Well, of course you do. You're a financial planner.
Yeah, so anyways, there's some nice tools you can use. You just need to know how to use them.
Yeah, I know. I'm registered on the government side, and so I go out and look at it every once in a
Right.
while. You know, there's some tools out there that will
Right.
help you with planning your future, but I always look forward to that statement I get every year that tells you, how much
Yes.
you've made since you first started working.
Right.
My very first year,
Right.
I made $480. I was only 17 at the
Yeah.
time, but that's pretty interesting, and then it'll show you kind of what some of your options are.
Right.
That's always interesting.
PERS, the system I
Yes.
retired from, and I only worked 15
It's a
years,
good
so it's
system.
not a lot, but it's more than I
Mhm.
expected it to
Yes.
be. But they have very good services, people you can meet with, and even online you can project out things.
Yes.
But I'm not sure how many people really are going to understand it until
Exactly.
they actually meet with a financial consultant and get the advice.
Yeah, we do a conference call a lot of times, not a conference call, but they're in my office, and I go, well, let's just call them and say what, because a lot of times you can talk to them right on the phone, and so we do that. Because I know the language, and they don't know what to ask, because sometimes they ask the wrong question, and they go, oh, I'm not going to get this. I go, no, I think you asked the wrong question. So they come in the office, I ask a question, what they really want to ask, and then they get the right information.
Yeah, I had to work my way through
Yes.
3 tier levels
Right.
up to the top person to get the final answer to my question of,
Right.
could I transfer my PERS into the county system, county
Right.
PERS?
Right.
Seems like it all should be the same.
Right.
But when you leave the state system, you need to sever your employment with the state,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a little unfair because,
Do you
Yeah,
lose
that's the
your,
way the
your
system-
medical benefits when you do
no,
that?
you
Okay.
get your medical benefits and all, but you need to sever your PERS relationship with
Yes.
the state, which to me seemed a little unfair, but that's the
there's
way the
some-
law is.
There's some interesting things with PERS. Even though, like, if you've worked at a job and you get PERS and everything, there's a good chance you may not get Social Security. All that money you put in is gone because PERS is taking care of you, which I think is a little unfair, but it's just the way the system works, so.
Right. So people need to be aware of that.
Yes.
And all the other intricacies. And,
Yes.
most people, I would bet you would agree, most people just don't know the intricacies.
And the worst thing is when people think they know, but they have the wrong answer, and then they get shocked when they go, well, that's not what I thought.
Right.
Well,
So I have another question around my husband and I retiring. Not only do we have our 401k and all that, but I've worked for my company for 29 years
Right.
now, and hopefully, 35 by the time I retire. I have a pretty healthy pension. If someone has a healthy pension or a pension at all, is it better to draw that pension in incremental payments or just take it all out and do
Or is
something
it better
with
to
it?
rely on that pension?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's where an analysis should be done to see what the buyout's going to be, because maybe if you invest that into something else where you control the money and you can get a good enough return. Here's the thing. When you get a pension and you say, okay, I'm getting this pension, I'm choosing these annual payments, which is like an annuity.
Right.
When you pass on, unless you have a provision where your husband gets it, all that money that's still in there, is
Back
gone.
to the company. Wow.
it's gone. So what you want to do is, we do an analysis on that for people, because we have a lot of people that get that choice of either taking a cash payout or a pension, and so you can do an analysis and find out what their wants and needs are. And
Right.
so, again,
So, and this might vary from company to company. If I choose to leave my pension where it is and just draw monthly
Right.
payments, is that money collecting any additional interest, or is it just
yes,
sitting
it
there?
is.
Okay.
Well, it is, but once you're getting the payments, that's it.
Sure.
I mean, you're going to get those payments for the rest of your life.
Sounds like you need to go see Russ.
I know we had quite the chat earlier. I think I do need to see him.
Should people rely on that pension? Because you see companies that are going out of business and the pensions are gone.
That's a scary proposition. So, just PERS. If we have a market crash, if this bubble bursts, like some people are talking about, it's going to hit PERS really hard. PERS has, I think it's over $1 trillion in unfunded liabilities now. And so they're kind of investing in riskier stuff right now. So if the bubble bursts, it may go to the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, which is a corporation, and the people may only get 80%. They may have to renegotiate. So, yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And it's not just the public pension plans, it's the private pension plans. That's why 401ks and 403bs, how they came into being is because the companies realize they can't make it by funding these big pension plans.
Right.
That's why government side, I know the county's doing this and most governments are, you're making the employees carry more of their share
Yeah.
of their
Right.
retirement plans
Yeah.
and even their health care now,
Yep.
because it just,
Can't afford it.
it's not feasible for governments to carry the load when you have these rates going up 20% a year.
That's what happened to GM. And GM's big mistake was when they went through the whole bankruptcy process, they didn't change the contracts with the employees. And so I think GM's still in a lot of trouble. That's why they can't pay their debts. And they should have renegotiated contracts, but they didn't do that with the employees, because they're the same fundamentals are.
You're talking
So-
a different union world back there.
Yes, yes.
Yes, you are.
We have a little bit of time left, but let's talk about how people can contact you and
Okay.
make appointments. You have a multitude of financial planners working for you, certified.
Well,
financial
I'm the financial planner. I have other people working for me that do other things, but when they need a financial retirement plan, I'm ultimately the
You're
one
the
who
go-to
does
guy.
it. Yes, I do that, and we're thinking of bringing on another person, a junior certified financial planner. So when we move our office, we may be doing that.
So are you a senior financial planner? You're bringing on a junior financial
Yeah, see?
planner?
I guess so.
So,
And how
Yeah.
would people
Okay.
contact you?
They could reach us toll-free at 888-203-8797, or go to our website at rnaretirement.com.
And a phone number local here in Jackson?
We have an 800 number. We have
Okay.
a voice over IP system. I have clients all over the country, so I decided just to go with the
Okay.
toll-free number.
And they could, people can stop in right across from Dieter Park. What did you call it again?
The Jackson Zoo.
Okay.
Poor Man's Bronze. We're
Poor
right
man's
across from there.
bronze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right across from the
yes.
Jackson Zoo. That's a good name for it. Okay.
Yeah.
But like you said, just from being in the business so long, you do have clients all over the United States. So even if people, and I saw someone that used to live in Jackson full time, now they're, what do they
Moved
call them,
away.
snowbirds.
Mhm.
So they're
Right.
just coming back in,
Yes.
and probably a little early for them now that it's raining again. But
Right.
You could actually help clients if they are living anywhere in the United States part-time.
Oh, yeah, I do it all the time. I call them on the phone because everything's done electronically, but we talk on the phone, and a lot of times they have roots here, the people, they have roots here, and so they come here sometimes to visit. But, once I'm managing their money, everything's done online or by phone. And
Right, which is really good to know because, someone's invested time and their money with you. They're retiring, they're moving to Texas or out of
Right.
state, they can just continue
Right.
doing business
Well,
with
my
you.
wife and I just bought an RV too, so when you're traveling,
Yes.
even if you have a computer, you can't be there to manage your assets all the time because
right.
you're out having fun.
that's right.
And we're having so much fun that we're out of time again, so we're going to take a very quick break. But we are actually going to say goodbye. So thanks for watching TSPN Amateur Live.
And RNA, Retirement Management.